But we're going to wrap up the Power 5 segment of the coaching hires and their grades here with the Arizona Wildcats. So we were just talking all about Jedd Fisch. Let's briefly mention the Arizona angle here. When Jedd Fisch left for Washington, this hurt. I live in Arizona. I live here, and I know a lot of U of A fans. I work with a few of them. Oh, this was painful, especially after the season they just had, and especially since, like, man, you had all the ingredients. Like, Arizona was basically Washington going from 2022 to 2023. You got the quarterback, you got the receivers, you got everybody coming back. That was Arizona. Like, Arizona had the Washington lightning in the bottle potential for next year.
They were going to the Big 12, man. They would have been one of the top contenders in the Big 12, given everything that they had.
Hell, they might have even been the favorite to win the Big 12 going into next year had Fisch not left. I mean, they're still going to be good because
they still kept a lot of good pieces.
Apparently, Noah Fifita and Tatora McMillan are going to be staying, which is great. That's phenomenal. But you still lost Jedd Fisch. That is a great coach that Arizona just lost. And I understand the fans being a little pissed off about this one. Like, I think Kalen DeBoer leaving Washington, a lot of fans were not happy with that one. But I think a lot of them understand it. Like, you're leaving for Alabama. This one was like, I don't think Jedd Fisch necessarily left on the best terms. Let's put it that way. Like, the fan base is not happy with him with the way that he went out. Sort of like Jonathan Smith at Oregon State. A little salty on the way out. And I don't blame him. I don't blame the fans here, especially with the message and the identity that Jedd Fisch preached at U of A of, loyalty to the program, loyalty to the team, building something, and then you leave for Washington, right when you had they had everything. They had everything lined up for next year. They still have a lot lined up, but I have a great, but also a really bad analogy that I want to give. But I'm not going to do that on the spot.
Oh, come on.
I mean, let's just say if you're Arizona going from 2022 or 2023 to 2024, it's like you got the build up in the cannon, and the cannons, you know that feeling when the cannon's ready to fire?
Yeah, when the cannon is feeling sensitive,
and then it doesn't shoot. I feel like that's that feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
And then the cannon, just bursts from the inside. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I feel like Arizona fans
Arizona
right
wasn't
now.
able to fire their cannons. We'll have to make a shirt about that.
So those of you, if you know, you know. Those of you, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Exactly. If you know, you know. That's the PG version of this.
Yes. So, yeah, that sucks. Like, it's a little bit of a snake move. I'm not going to lie. It's a little bit of a snake move. But good for them for being able to keep McMillan and Fifita. They're still going to be a great team next year, but yeah, it's lost a little bit of its luster. But anyways, let's turn the page here. Let's focus on the future. Let's focus on 2024, and let's grade the hire of the new head man in Tucson, Mr. Brent Brennan. Now, this was an interesting hire. There was a lot of ways that I think that U of A could have went here. Brennan's got some ties to Arizona. Of course, he was the head coach of San Diego State prior to this, and
San Jose State.
San Jose State. But he's got some ties to Arizona. His brother played receiver there, actually, which I didn't know. His wife is actually a U of A graduate, so
and he was also one of the finalists before they hired Jedd Fisch.
Yeah, the previous hiring cycle, he was one of the finalists. So this made sense and seemed like Brennan had a U of A on his radar the entire time. Like, he seems like he wanted to coach there. So from that sense, it seems like the signs are pointing to them getting a guy that actually wants to be there, that wants to be the head coach, that may not necessarily view it as a stepping stone in the immediate future if things go really well. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. We don't know if it's going to be successful. That's why we're going to grade this higher. How do you think the Brent Brennan era at Arizona will go? And what is the grade that you're going to give this hire?
So when this hire was first initially made, I didn't even know about it. And then, I went around, I was just doing some research, and I saw Arizona hired someone named Brent Brennan. And I said, who is that? So did a little research, and he was the head coach at San Jose State. So a little backstory. He successfully led San Jose State to bowl eligibility on 3 separate occasions in a relatively short span of time, which for a program like San Jose State is a huge accomplishment. They're not really known for being a good program in football. So credit where credit is due there. But outside of that, he doesn't have much of a pedigree. He's had some experience working in football, of course, but this doesn't jump off the page to me, Shub. He was the receivers coach at Oregon State when Brandon Cooks was there, sure, Blitnikoff winner. But at the same time, could that have just been a flash in the pan? Who else has he coached at the wide receiver position who's went off to do great things? I'm very unsure about this hire, Shub, and the thing that I consider most when I grade this hire is who else was available to you realistically that you could have got if you are the U of A. Who else was available, and would it have been better for you to go for those options? I actually piled a list, and I'm not as high on this hire. I will admit. I think what you said goes a lot into this hire. Maybe hoping that he won't, his ties to Arizona will keep him there, and it won't use them as a stepping stone. But I think that's such a bad approach nowadays. You ideally want someone to use you as a stepping stone if you're in that tier of school. There are tiers in this program. We can try all we want to say my school is not a stepping stone, but the fact of the matter is some schools are stepping stones, and that's okay, because if you are used as a stepping stone, that means you had success. So there's nothing wrong with that. But let me jump back to what I was going to. The coaches, the other options that were available. I think Jamie Chadwell would have been a great hire if they were able to pry him away from Liberty. He has shown that he has had success at 2 Power 5 programs, Coastal Carolina, and then going undefeated in his first season at Liberty. Granted, it papers Charmin's soft schedule, but not undefeated. Liberty got smacked in the bowl game, which we all saw coming, but undefeated in the regular season. But hey, man, Jamie Chadwell's shown that he can win at 2 different locations. That's definitely an option that was available to you. Another one would be Jeff Traylor at UTSA. He's turned UTSA into a consistent contender in the CUSA or the CUSA, and they have been a very solid program. Yeah, we're at University of Texas in San Antonio. Like, come on now, a Roadrunner, a Meep Meep. No one ever thought they'd be relevant, and here they are. So Jeff Traylor, I think, would have been a great option. Kane Womack, the head coach of South Alabama, who just became the defensive coordinator at Alabama, I think would have been a great option. Granted, it may have been hard to pry him to be the head coach of Arizona over the DC of Alabama, just because of the trajectory of he might be using the DC job at Alabama to try to get a higher Power 5 job later, which I think 100% he is. So he may not have taken the Arizona job. And then there's Jerry Kill for New Mexico State. And by the way, Jerry Kill stepped down. I don't know why. And now he's a consultant at the University of Vanderbilt. And for those of you that don't know who Jerry Kill is, just do some research on him. He took a god-awful New Mexico State program and turned them into a pretty solid contender.
You went 9-3 at New Mexico State. You're a pretty good coach, because that's like a dead program.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are all options that I think Arizona could have realistically put their hat in the ring for and potentially gotten, that I think would have been better than Brent Brennan. Now, as Arizona fans are probably... I would think a lot of Arizona fans are trying to think of the best way to be happy about this hire, and probably disagree with me, but that's okay. This is my outside perspective. Given everything, all the considerations here, I will give him the credit where credit is due, and the boosters. You kept Fifita and you kept McMillan, so that will give you a slight boost in your grade today. And because of that, I'm going to give you a solid C. Instead of a D+ or a C-, I'm going to give you a C, because you're able to keep Noah Fifita and Shatoria McMillan. I don't think it's a great hire. I really don't. Time could prove me wrong. All we can do is speculate. That's all this is. But only time will tell. I think a C is the best I can do. And that's only because they were able to keep 2 very, very key cogs of that team.
Shout out to the collective for being able to keep McMillan and Fifita in house there. That big deal there. But man, C, I did not see that one coming. I'm gonna go a notch above you here. I'm gonna go a ring above you here. And by the way, it's throwing your you said throw your rings in the hat. Throw your hat
whatever.
in the ring.
You knew what I was trying to say.
Hey, I mean, you can't throw rings in a hat technically. It's like,
yeah,
you can flip that analogy around.
Exactly.
You can flip the analogy around.
Exactly.
But, yeah. So there you go. But anyways, I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring for Brent Brennan right here.
Yeah, throw your ring in the hat, man.
I'm gonna say a B, solid B. I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's poor at all. I'm gonna go with a solid B here. Listen, when I was thinking of this, like, I don't want what Jedd Fisch just did to like dilute the overall perception of Arizona as a program, because let's be real here, outside the last year, Arizona was a bottom tier Power 5 program and has rarely ever been more than like an average Power 5 program. So I didn't want that to be like, oh, well, you're downgrading from Jedd Fisch and like a 9-3 team that was like playing like college football playoff level football at the end of the year. Like, let's not let that like dilute the big picture here about Arizona. So while yes, it probably is a downgrade from Jedd Fisch, but at the same time, if Jedd Fisch era had never happened and Arizona was just like mediocre, going 3-9 every year, and then they had made this hire, I feel like we'd be saying it's a decent hire given that, you know, bar. So I didn't want that to dilute my perception of the program as a whole a good bit there. So I'm gonna go with a B, and I think it's a solid floor hire. I don't think Arizona will be a bottom tier program with Brent Brennan, because I think doing what he did at San Jose State is actually relatively impressive given how hard of a job that is. So I feel like he'll do a good job. Like, I don't think he'll be able to maintain Jedd Fisch level of development per se. I mean, he doesn't have that track record, but I don't know. I still feel like he can keep them as like at the very minimum, I think, a consistent bowl program and maybe an occasional.
Yeah, for sure. But so my grade is judged more upon what Arizona was looking to become, more on like what their trajectory is in the future under a new regime, because they still have two really, really good players. You have Noah Fifita, you have McMillan, man. So I mean, Fifita was a freshman this year. You got him for 2 more years minimally. So you've got automatically a grounds to have some success. I think they will be at least a bowl team under Brennan every year. But if Jedd Fisch was there, I think you'd be winning a lot more games. You'd probably be winning the Big 12. You'd be looking at New Year's 6. You'd be looking at playoff. Or if you got one of these other guys. And so I just think that their ceiling isn't as high under Brennan. But time could prove me wrong. But that's where I'm looking at this. Arizona, don't get a grade twisted. I don't think Arizona's going to be terrible, because they still have a very good roster going into next year. They're able to maintain a lot of guys, but definitely a downgrade in the leadership position, I think.
All right, well, that wraps up that head coaching hire. So Brent Brennan gets a B from Shub and he gets a C from Sand. Let us know in the comments, Arizona fans. Let us know what you guys think about this hire.
We know we got a lot of Arizona fans that watch the pod, and we appreciate y'all.
Yeah, you guys blew up our other videos in our short about Arizona that we made at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. So yeah, let us know. I have a feeling.
Try not to hate on me too hard, guys. Just justify it.
Don't be like Oregon State Beaver fans, please. Don't be like them. We get enough crap from them in the comments.